My husband's in the military and is currently deployed. We have been married for 4 years and do not have children. I'm in my last semester of college, and I am currently a student teacher. I was told that I should not have a job as a student teacher, considering that I basically have a full-time job, just without the pay. We have always had separate accounts, and he knows that I am not the type to just go blow a bunch of money. With my husband making all of the money now, I asked him before he left if he would possibly add me onto his bank account and get me a debit card in case of an emergency. I would not use his card unless it was truly an emergency. He told me that I am on his bank account, and it does not matter that I do not have a debit card because I can walk into the bank and take money from the account at any time. I just let it go and decided that spending time with him before he left was more important than arguing. He left right before Christmas, so I was responsible for getting his whole family gifts. He did not help pick out gifts at all. I did everything on my own. He did pay for them and literally sent me exact amounts. If I spent $31.27 on a gift, he sent me $31.27. Not a single member of his family thanked me for their gifts. Money would not be much of an issue if my husband didn't tell me every 2 weeks what he was getting paid. He brags about how much money he is making while he is gone and sends me screenshots of how much is in his bank account. He is making very good money right now. And besides what he sent me for his family's Christmas gifts, I haven't gotten any of it. I talk about wanting a t-shirt or needing a new pair of jeans, and he says he'll buy it for me, but never does. I wanted a set of books for my birthday, and he told me he would buy them for me. After not receiving them a month after my birthday, I asked him if he ever ordered them. I thought maybe shipping was taking a long time or something with it being close to Christmas. But he admitted that he never ordered them. It's not that I expect his money while he's gone or to be showered with gifts, but I am not making any money right now. I am buying my gas and food with money from my previous job that I saved. Like a little money to treat myself here and there would make me so happy. It's like he doesn't care about me anymore now that he's gone. I told him over a month ago that I would appreciate a handwritten letter or something, literally anything, that was somewhat thoughtful from him while we're apart for so long. I have sent him 2 letters. He told me that he doesn't have any paper or pens and would have to go buy some. But a couple of days later, he sends me a photo with a notebook and pen in the background. It's not that hard to make me happy, but somehow it is so hard for him to want to. This is probably an awful thing to say, but I do not feel like I'm even married right now. I feel like we do not have a connection anymore now that he's been gone for a while. I feel so alone and like I am not being cared for or about by him in any way. I'm not sure how to bring this up to him. Is there maybe something else going on? Am I wanting too much? Any advice would be appreciated. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Girl, your husband sucks. Before my husband deployed, he was told to make me financial power of attorney. We did the paperwork on base, and he's in the National Guard. So it's not like I was already living and breathing the Army. I bought a damn house under my husband's name while he was deployed with a VA loan. I had zero trouble because I was financial power of attorney over him. You should not be paying for everything. And it's shocking to me that you think this is normal to do as a deployed spouse. It is time for you to have a real conversation. Don't beat around the bush. Tell him you need this dollar amount deposited into your account for household expenses. The audacity to brag about the money while letting his wife suffer. Honestly, I'd serve him with papers the moment he's back. Comment 2. Your husband is in butt. I just unearthed an entire shoebox of letters I sent home while I was deployed. My parents saved them all and gave them back to me a few years ago. I wrote home at least once a week. Amazon took care of Christmas presents. Unless the military has changed drastically since I got out, a pen and paper should be on him at all times. He doesn't need stationery. Wander down to the bank and withdraw half the account. Use it to buy yourself jeans, a new shirt, some books, and a meeting with a divorce lawyer or relationship therapist. You choose. While you're at the bank, since you're on the account, request a debit card. Many banks will print one for you right there. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around for the latest. So the other day, I was at the bank trying to withdraw some cash for groceries. I gave them my ID, but They said I wasn't authorized on the account. I was confused and embarrassed. I had to leave without any money. I called my husband right away, and he was all, "That's impossible, you're on the account." But turns out, he never actually added me. I felt so betrayed. I had to borrow money from a friend for food. It was humiliating. I didn't tell my husband about borrowing money because I didn't want another fight. But it's getting harder to cover my own expenses. I'm still student teaching, and it's like a full-time job that I'm not getting paid for. I'm exhausted and stressed all the time. Then, his sister called me out of the blue. She said she found an old love letter from my husband to an ex-girlfriend. She thought it was funny, but it hit me like a ton of bricks. Why did she have that? It turns out, before we got married, he had a fling with her and I never knew. I felt sick. I confronted him and he admitted it, but said it was in the past and didn't matter now. I couldn't believe he kept this from me. I've been trying to focus on my studies, but it's tough. I'm supposed to be teaching these kids, but my mind is elsewhere. I'm thinking about my husband and his secrets, our financial issues, and how alone I feel. I'm supposed to be preparing for a future, but it feels like everything is falling apart. I tried talking to my husband about how I felt, but he just brushed it off. He said I was overreacting and that we'd talk about it when he got back. But when is that going to be? I need support now. I'm struggling to keep it together. I started spending more time with a guy from my class, just as friends. But he's been really supportive. He listens to me and seems to genuinely care about how I'm doing. It's nice to have someone to talk to, but I feel guilty for even having these thoughts. I'm married after all. Then yesterday I got a letter from my husband. Finally, right? But it wasn't what I expected. He was saying how he's been feeling distant and he's not sure about us anymore. It was like a punch in the gut. I've been here trying to hold on to our marriage, and he's over there doubting everything. I had to do something. So I made a decision. I took off my wedding ring and put it away. I'm not saying I'm giving up on us, but I need to feel like I have some control over my life. I need to figure out what I want and what I can do to be happy with or without him. I'm still teaching, still trying to finish college. But now I'm also trying to figure out who I am on my own. It's scary, but maybe it's necessary. I'm not sure where things will go from here, but I'm trying to be hopeful. Thanks for hearing me out. My conservative parents warned me not to bring my partner to my cousin's wedding. But I did anyway, and showed them what true love looks like when we danced together as they watched in silence. Some backstory. I, 28-year-old male, was raised in a profoundly fundamentalist conservative Christian house. From realizing I was queer at around age 13 through the remainder of my teen years, I discussed it multiple times with my parents. And every time I did, there was a horrific, emotionally hurtful blow-up. Since this had always gone so badly for me growing up, when I entered adulthood, I became a very private person with my immediate and extended family. I still have contact with my parents, but I maintain a substantial distance in our relationships and see them no more than necessary for basic niceties. I didn't tell them I was in a serious relationship with my partner, 30-year-old male, until 6 years in. The reaction to that was yet again predictably hurtful. But as an adult, I was better equipped to deal with this. Fast forward to now. I have a large extended family, but the only ones I'm close to are a handful of my cousins. I've neglected to share my relationship status with any aunts or uncles. Most don't seem as bad as my parents about queerness, but I don't think any of them are going to be anything more than tolerant at best. Many of my cousins, however, do support me and my partner, and they, in turn, are important to me. I have been close with many of them for most of my life. One of my cousins, Jay, is getting married soon, and he and his fiancée, Elle, elected to invite both my partner and me. Unfortunately, the rest of the family, including my parents, will also be there. Aside from my cousins and their partners, most of my extended family have not met my partner. As far as I know, most don't know he exists, though I will at least ensure they learn of him before the wedding either way. I want to point out that I do not deeply care what any of my unsupporting extended family thinks of this. They are mostly sad, shallow boomers who've all seriously traumatized their kids in various ways. My dilemma about whether my partner comes is based on the following. 1, I'm not thrilled to put my partner into a situation that will undoubtedly have unpleasant aspects. And two, I don't want our presence, despite people's reactions to us not being our faults, to take away from J&L's big day. And given it would be the first time I bring him around many of these people, including my parents, there are bound to be reactions. If he doesn't come, I'm very tempted to not go at all, and we will send a gift. At the same time, I'd like to be there for J&L's sake. My partner and I have discussed the situation, and he is fine with whatever I decide. He is also not sure what is best. He has always been very supportive of me trying to navigate my unfortunate family relationships. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. To be honest with you, I see zero good reasons to go to this wedding. It's hard to judge situations when I only have a post's worth of information on. But for example, if your cousin is 100% supportive of you, they would not be inviting your abusers to their own wedding. What kind of signal is that? To me, it says, we're okay with you being queer OP, but it's more important that I invite X to my wedding than prevent X from harassing people I love. I think the best move is to send a nice gift and send your regrets. Make plans to go on a trip or something if that's a way you care about saving face. Or just be honest. Arrange another time to have your partner meet your cousins. Comment 2. Can you go and act like you are part of your cousin's friend group instead of part of your family? Meet your cousin's friends whom you don't know, chat up the new in-laws, and minimize contact with your own family as much as possible. The only intervention you'd need from your cousin would be to seat the two of you with people who aren't homophobes. Other than dinner time, I think it's easier to avoid people than you might imagine. If they snub you, that's honestly a win, because you don't have to talk to them. If they are gossiping behind your back, who cares? Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for the update. So the wedding was 3 days ago, and let me tell you, it was pretty hard on us. I decided to bring my partner to the wedding, and as expected, it caused a stir. The moment we walked in, I could feel the tension in the air. My parents were there, giving us the cold shoulder, and some of my aunts and uncles were whispering, but J&L were happy to see us, and that's what mattered. On the first day, during the rehearsal dinner, my Uncle M made a snide remark about my partner, loud enough for everyone to hear. It was humiliating, but I kept my cool. My cousin S, who's always had my back, confronted Uncle M right there, causing a scene. It was a mess, and I felt terrible for J&L. That night, my partner and I talked it over, and he reassured me that we did the right thing by standing our ground. The next day, the wedding day, things escalated. My mom tried to corner me to talk about my lifestyle choices, but I wasn't having it. I walked away and she ended up causing a scene, crying and making it about her. It was embarrassing, but J&L were understanding, and the wedding went on beautifully despite the drama. But here's where it gets crazy. After the ceremony, my cousin B, who's always been jealous of Jay, got drunk and started spouting off about family honor and tradition. He tried to pick a fight with my partner, but my partner just walked away. B then turned his anger on me, and we ended up in a shouting match. It was awful, and I was so ashamed that it happened at J&L's wedding. The aftermath was intense. J&L left for their honeymoon, and the family was left to deal with the fallout. My parents are now not speaking to me, and Uncle M has been trying to apologize, but I'm not ready to hear it. My partner and I are closer than ever, though, and my supportive cousins have been checking in on us. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get more complicated, my Aunt P, who's always been the mediator, called a family meeting. She laid it all out, telling everyone that the way they treated my partner and me was unacceptable. She reminded them that family is supposed to be about love and support, not judgment and hate. It was a powerful moment, and some of my relatives actually seemed to take it to heart. In the end, my partner and I are doing okay. We're hurt, but we're also proud that we stood up for ourselves. And J&L, they sent us a message from their honeymoon, thanking us for being there and for not letting the family drama ruin their day. Thanks for reading. My partner ignored my needs for 1.5 years and sought comfort in another's arms. So I teamed up with the cheater's spouse and we hit them where it hurts. Me, a 32-year-old man, and my significant other, a 29-year-old woman, have been together for 8 years. We recently went through a period of about 1.5 years where there was no intimacy activity, which was difficult for me. She would often become extremely rude and call me names when I approached her for intimacy. I suggested couples counseling, but she adamantly refused. After a few months, I adjusted to the situation and stopped trying. Surprisingly, I became quite content with a sex-free relationship. During this time, I got a promotion at work, had a paper published, and started taking evening classes to further my education. Additionally, I have been working out regularly and am in the best shape I've been since high school. I am also spending more time with the kids, and our relationship with them is fantastic. However, in the past 2 to 3 months, my significant other has been insistent on rekindling our love life. I am unable to comply for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I have developed a negative attitude towards intimacy in general due to the previous issues in our otherwise perfect relationship. Secondly, whenever we attempt any intimacy activity, I am reminded of the hurtful things she said about me and my body, which makes it impossible for me to continue. To avoid repeating her mistake, I agreed to go to counseling with her at her request. The first counselor, a sweet elderly lady, acknowledged that the whole situation was unfair to me and believed that pressuring me would not achieve anything. Upon my partner's insistence, we tried a second counselor, as she felt the first one was biased. The second counselor's viewpoint is that it is unfair to expect my spouse to accept a sex-free marriage. While they understand my frustrations, they believe that I need to move on from what happened, which I disagree with since I don't feel any resentment or frustration. My significant other acknowledges that she is sorry for affecting my libido, but refuses to sacrifice her own passion and spark. She understands that it may seem unfair, but has apologized for how she handled the issue in the past. I believe that my desire for intimacy in the past stemmed more from seeking validation rather than genuine enjoyment. And now that I am genuinely happy with myself, the urge has disappeared. I am seeking advice on how to navigate this situation and would appreciate input from individuals who have been in similar situations. Please refrain from suggesting divorce, as she is still the love of my life, an amazing mother, and my best friend. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You do not have to have intimacy with her. She is not likely going to stay in a sexless marriage, since you seem to want to stay in this marriage for other reasons. Have you considered meeting with a therapist on your own to try and work through your past trauma and the mental block that prevents you from being sexually attracted to her? Has your wife's apologies felt genuine and had any counteractive effect on your intimacy feelings? I'm not suggesting you divorce, but divorce may be forced upon you if you're immovable in your current stance towards intimacy with your wife. What compromises would you be willing to make to save your marriage? Comment 2. You need to figure out what would make you able to move past the negative, hurtful things she said. Not pretend it never happened, of course. It was drastic, scorched earth words to create distance at a time when she was obviously having problematic feelings about intimacy. And on some level, you're probably worried if scorched earth words are still in her playbook. But does it count for nothing that she wants to rekindle the intimacy dimension of your relationship? Maybe her harsh words felt like forever feelings at the time. But now she's showing it was only for that time, and there's more to how she really sees you in the long term. Now for the update, thanks for sticking around. A lot has happened since my last post. So the other day, I caught her texting someone late at night. She tried to hide it, but I saw a heart emoji pop up on her screen. When I asked her about it, she got defensive and said it was just a friend from work. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I didn't want to be that guy snooping around, but it ate at me. So, I did something I'm not proud of. I looked through her phone while she was in the shower, and there it was, messages to some guy, let's call him Mr. X, full of flirty banter and plans to meet up. I felt sick to my stomach. I confronted her about it, and she broke down, admitting she felt neglected and was just looking for some attention. She swore nothing physical had happened. I wanted to believe her, but trust is like a mirror, you know? Once it's cracked, you always see that flaw. We had a huge fight. I told her I needed some space to think. I went to stay with a buddy for a few days. While I was there, I got a call from the school. Our youngest had gotten into a fight. I rushed over there, and it turned out he was defending his sister from some bullies. Seeing my kids stand up for each other like that, it hit me hard. They were sticking together, and here I was, running away from my problems. I went back home that night. We talked for hours. She promised to cut ties with Mr. X and begged for another chance. I agreed, but on one condition. We had to be honest with each other, no more secrets. Things were rocky, but we were trying. Then, out of the blue, I got a message from Mr. X's wife. She'd found out about the texts and wanted to meet. I was torn. I didn't want to stir up more trouble, but I also felt she had a right to know what was going on. We met at a coffee shop, and she was a mess, poor thing. She had no idea her husband was this kind of man. I told her everything, showed her the texts. She thanked me and left, looking like she was about to crumble. A week later, I heard Mr. X had moved out and his wife was filing for divorce. It was a mess, but I couldn't help feeling like he got what was coming to him. Then, my partner did something unexpected. She reached out to Mr. X's wife, offering support. They started talking, and I guess sharing their pain helped them both. It was weird, but seeing her take responsibility like that, it made me see her in a new light. We're still working on things. It's not perfect, but we're both trying. I've started to let go of the resentment, focusing on the family we've built. It's not easy, but I guess that's life, right? Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.